Hello and welcome to this short video covering the new EText extraction features in Ephesoft Transact 2019.1. My name is Dave Almond and I'm part of the professional services team here at Ephesoft. In this video, I will aim to give you an overview of the OCR plugin options available to you. I will talk to you about customizing the Recostar OCR project file if you are running Transact on Windows. And I will also give you a quick overview of the new export options available to you for electronic text or EText documents. Before we move any further, I'd like to explain to you what is meant by the term EText. Put simply, EText is a digital text layer embedded in PDF documents. It represents a pure digital representation of textual data in those documents. And we're starting to see EText more and more in customer documents due to the increased nature of electronic transmission of invoices and other such documents. It should be noted that the text layer is of course lost if documents are printed and then rescanned. For this demonstration, I've prepared an electronic text document that contains some samples of text to highlight some of the challenges that can be found using traditional OCR methods. And what we're going to do is see how Ephesoft Transact has extracted data from this document using both traditional OCR and the new EText facilities available to us. So if I switch across now to Ephesoft Transact and to the batch instance management screen, you'll see that I have 3 batch instances waiting. And indeed, if I go in and open the first batch instance, you will see the document has had data extracted using traditional or regular OCR methods. And if we take a look now at some of the extracted data, we can see some of the issues that an OCR engine faces when trying to extract text using standard OCR methods. So if we take a look first of all at the small text box, you can see that indeed the text is very small, sort of terms and conditions and that sort of size. And you can see that although the OCR engine has done a reasonably good job, there are clearly some quality issues with what has been extracted here. Moving on now to look at the numbers mixed with letters. Although generally we have a pretty good result here, and indeed the example ID in here has been extracted correctly, we can see that there are some issues a little bit further down when we look at, for example, the 0 in a bracket that's actually been extracted as a letter O, and then vice versa. We can see here that the letter O has been extracted as a 0. We also see issues with the letter 1, where we find that in brackets it is correctly extracted as a letter 1, but actually outside of the brackets the OCR engine has detected a letter I. In the brackets we've detected a number 1, and vice versa, where we have the number in the brackets it's correctly extracted, and outside of the brackets the OCR engine sees that as a letter I. And then if we go ahead and change that font to a less regular font, then we get additional issues. And you can see here that we have this ID, although the characters have been extracted correctly, we now have this sort of rogue space that's been inserted in between this number 1 and this letter O. Moving on to the unusual font block. So this is sort of a non-standard font that may be used on a document. We can see that the OCR engine has indeed struggled quite significantly with this text, and again that would be no surprise if you understand how an OCR engine works. Meanwhile, the text inside the image, we're using standard font there, and of course there are no issues with that. We would expect to see good quality results from a high quality OCR engine, and indeed we have pretty much perfect results here. And then finally, we have some text that is of a non-standard color and also against a shaded background. And we can see that although it's done a pretty good job, there are clearly some quality issues here where it struggled to sort of see that contrast between the text and the background there. So this is what you might find if you were to put this through a standard OCR batch class. Now moving on to take a look at the new EText extraction feature within Ephesoft Transact. And if we open this batch instance, we can see now that all of those quality issues have all entirely disappeared. So here we have the very small text, and we can see we have a perfect extraction of that text. Here we have the numbers mixed with letters, and here we can see no confusion, and number 0 is indeed a number 0, and a letter O is a letter O in all cases. And even with the different font face here, we no longer have the rogue space added. The unusual font, again, no challenges at all. The text is exactly as it is written on the document. And of course, the colored text against a colored background, again, no issues here whatsoever. So looking at this, we can see immediately the power of using that electronic text layer rather than relying on the OCR representation of that text. And so, whereas before we would get good results, now we can see that it's possible to get perfect results. There is no question that a letter O is an O and a 0 is a 0 and so forth. If I now go across to the batch class management, I'll show you how to enable EText mode inside your batch class. So by default, when you upgrade to 2019.1 or you carry out a fresh installation and you create a batch class, what you'll find is that the standard OCR mechanism that is used is the traditional sort of normal OCR. And if we want to go ahead and we want to tell Transact to use EText, then we need to make a very simple change. So we'll need to come down here into our module section. We'll need to come down to page process and then Recostar OCR. And in here you can see that we have a new feature now which says use EText Recostar project file. And all we simply need to do is change that from never to automatically. And what that will do internally is it will tell Transact to analyze every PDF document that is ingested, to detect whether an EText layer is found or not. And if that EText layer is found, then it will route that PDF and the pages from that PDF to the RSP or Recostar project file in this particular drop-down box here. Otherwise, if the document was not found to have an EText layer, then it will still use traditional OCR methods and will be routed to this traditional Recostar RSP project here. And so to enable EText for extraction, it is pretty much that simple. Now, one thing you may have noticed when we took a look at the batch instance a moment ago is there was one box that actually was not filled in anymore, and that is this box that says text inside an image. And to understand why that is, we need to go back and have a look at our original PDF. And so this is the PDF that we fed into Ephesoft Transact. And you'll see that here in my PDF reader, if I drag my mouse over this text, I can see that it's selectable because we have this, it's an electronic text layer. But if I try and do that over this, this block here, actually I'm not able to select the text here because this is an embedded image. So in other words, there is no electronic text in this PDF for this image. And so what that means is that where Ephesoft Transact has been told to extract text using EText, of course no EText exists for this block of the document. And so this is where, if this use case applies to you, then you may need to do something a little bit different. And for that reason, you will notice that if we go back to the batch class management and we go back to our Recostar OCR plugin, we have not just never and automatically, but we also have another option here, which is always. And effectively what we're doing by selecting always is to tell Ephesoft Transact to route all documents, all PDF documents, to this project file in all cases. And what that then means is that if we go across to our batch class folder, so if we go here to my batch class, you'll see that I'm in my shared folders and I'm in BC15. You'll see that in here we have the RSP file. And what I'm able to do now is to open that RSP file and to make a small modification to that RSP file. And indeed, if I come here to text fields, you'll see that right now the processing mode is set to extracts from EText. And actually what I can do is I can choose either OCR, I can choose EText, or I can choose this third option, which is vote OCR and EText. And what this does is it actually enables complex algorithms within the OCR engine to decide whether the image should be processed using EText or OCR or a mixture of the two. And so if I go back now to Ephesoft Transact and we have a look at this third batch instance, which has been processed using this option, then what we'll find is that now we actually have both text for our text and image, but we also have much better quality for the other extracted data as well. Now I should point out that not all of the data is extracted perfectly. And there are some decisions that have been taken by the OCR engine which are maybe not the best decisions, and so in some cases it's chosen to use the OCR content over the electronic text content. And so I would recommend that if you are considering this option, you carry out a lot of testing with your documents to find out the best option for you. But nevertheless, it is an option. So just to recap, we have three options in here. We have never, which will behave in the way that it always did before 2019.1. It will never use the EText in a PDF document. We have automatically, which will decide whether EText is found on a page or not, and if it is, will route to the FPR EText project, and if not, will route to the traditional OCR project. And then we have always, which will in all cases route all files to this particular project file. And indeed, if you are going to go ahead and do this, then you have only one Recostar project file to modify, and you can of course switch on then the vote OCR and EText feature. Just before we finish the video, there is one final option that I'd like to show you, and that is actually in the export section, in the export module. And you'll see that in here we have a create multi-page files plugin, and this plugin is responsible for generating the exported PDF or TIFF files as per your requirements. Now you'll see that we have a new option in here, which is use EText original pages when available. And this feature, which by the way is set to default true in 2019.1, if enabled, will actually skip using the generated PDF files from Ephesoft Transact and will take the original pages from your original EText enabled file, assuming EText was found in those pages. And the reason for that is that those vector-based electronic PDFs will always be the highest possible quality and the lowest possible size. They can never be improved. So it makes a lot of sense for us to use those original pages rather than relying on the processed pages that have been created in Transact. So this feature in here in this export plugin will by default be switched on. If for some reason you don't want to use that, it's very simple to switch off, and then it will put you back into sort of pre-2019.1 mode. And I think that about covers what I wanted to show you. So in this video, we talked about the different OCR plugin options that are available. We saw how we could customize the Recostar OCR project file, and we had a look at the new option that's available to us in the export plugin. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our support. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.